here for another live conversation. We got to get it going, man. My guy here had a big drop yesterday. He's been jet setting. Um, let's do proper intro style, man, because I want to hear all about it from you because you do all sorts of shit, and I feel like you're just getting into your groove. But RMS raps. If you haven't heard, he's got that crazy tempo. Um, very into the film side of things, but probably some of the better shot videos in Web3. If I
Appreciate it.
think so. And he's got a few of them on Huddle. I own them. Visual artist, collector, doing all sorts of things, man. How you feeling and welcome?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Appreciate you having me. This is dope. Always good chopping it up with you. And, I appreciate you even reaching out, setting this up. It meant a lot to me, for real, man. But
Of course, man.
doing good, doing good. I think you have some auto tune on your voice as well, but it sounds sick.
Oh, do I really?
Yeah. But nah, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you. I think it's been exciting and definitely a challenge to balance a lot of the responsibilities that I think a lot of independent artists and a lot of just like people in the Web3 space have to balance in terms of trying to make sure that we're present in the right spaces. We're involved with the right sort of content creation and the creative side of things when it comes to the music, when it comes to Web2 presence, when it comes to live events and live shows, when it comes to Web3 presence. So juggling all these different things, I think, is always a challenge, but something that I'm always up for, and I'm definitely trying to be more present and more consistent with the Web3 community because I think I've been around for a while. I've been around for like a good year, and I met amazing people like yourself. But I definitely want to make sure that I'm present enough where I can connect and cultivate a level of community with a lot of dope people. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to just be on the outskirts. I want to be in it for real.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Now I want to get into that. By the way, I think I fixed my auto tune. Like I think I accidentally pressed a button over here on this. Like I use the Nanocaster, and so like it's got crazy effects on here. So like I can't wait to
got
hear how it sounds when I run that back. But uh,
it.
being present's difficult, especially in Web3 because it's like 24 hours, and then I know you're getting your Telegram going, and like, dude, my whole like I have like 600 Telegrams. You got your Twitter DMs, you have the Discords, like it's a lot. So like, um, there's definitely a balance to that, and like kind of a wellness, like feeling healthy about it and not getting burned out because it's super easy to feel like you're getting burned out, and also it's super easy to feel like you're missing something, even though like you're probably not. Which takes me to, you mentioned shows, and I know that it's a little bit easier to do Web3 shows, but I feel like there's nothing like the energy of like a live show. Do you have a preference right now?
Yeah, man. I think live shows are just hard to beat, you know? Um I love the virtual connection that you can get through like virtual shows, web3 shows, metaverse shows because that I feel like the purpose of that is to engage people like that aren't in proximity to you. You know what I mean? Like people who are maybe more invested in you as an artist, but are removed just location wise, or just want to experience a virtual experience that you're setting up. But the live show energy is insane, right? And that is for like, people you either go to different cities or people in your city come out to see you. And that sort of energy and that connection, that's like the IRL experience is really, really hard to compete with, in terms of
Oh,
just energy and engagement. So it's fun, man. Got a show this Saturday, January 7th at Pianos in Manhattan. So we rented it up, starting the year strong. You know what I'm saying?
that's a breaking sound thing, right?
Yes, sir. Breaking sound.
Congrats. That's not a small feat.
Thank you,
I know
man.
you got to be excited about it. And you're from like the general area, so you got people out there, right?
Exactly, exactly. So I'm really, really blessed to have a strong support system, a lot of homies and fam that just come through and support for these types of shows, which is always great seeing familiar faces. But you know, that in combination with just connecting with new people and the whole cultivating that experience and that energy, it's electric, bro. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really, really fun. So it's a good
Yeah.
vibe.
And on the so Web3 vibes, but IRL mentality here still. Have you been Are you booking like at conferences and like performing there?
Dude, big bucket list item. I really, really want to perform at NFT NYC. I think it's been a little challenging for me to travel to different states for other state conferences, but at least I remember thinking like last NFT NYC, I was like, man, next year I'm gonna be performing because like it was so fun just meeting everybody and also going to all these performances, seeing all my friends do like incredible stuff. I love that. That whole experience is amazing, but it's definitely something that I'm trying to make happen this time around. It's earlier in the year this year, so I have to probably like get a move on that. But I think that would be exciting for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, did you pull up to Wave World at NFT NYC last year?
Yeah, dude. That
That
that's
was
when we ran
oh
into each
yeah, yeah,
other,
that's
right?
where we ran in that's where you made me sing to you, and, like, I don't wanna
Yeah.
don't make me do it again. Uh, but yeah, I feel like that would be a great spot. Obviously, Jaden always got his thing going on. I didn't get it in New York, but I was at the UVR in Miami, and, like, it was a fun
Mm.
vibe. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Curious, still on the live show tip, what's your favorite show you've ever seen live?
Favorite show I've ever seen live has got to be Kendrick Damn Tour. Crazy funny story about that. I ended up it was just 2017 or something, right? So I'm like sitting in like some like classroom or something, and I see that on my like Instagram feed or Facebook feed, there's some advertisement for like a giveaway, right? Ticket giveaway or something. And it was like you add this playlist, Spotify playlist to your thing, and you enter a chance to win Kendrick tickets. I was like, that's some bullshit. But adding a playlist is easy,
Yeah,
right? It wasn't like a big ask. So I was like, you know what, whatever. Let me just do it. I did it, forgot about it. And then a couple months later, I get this random email with like 2 lines that was like, "Hey, you won these tickets. This is the info. This is where you can pick them up." And I was like, "Are these people scamming me?" Like I didn't know. I didn't know if it was real or not, but it was real. They gave me 2 tickets. So I grabbed one of my boys. Me and my boy went and saw Kendrick in Brooklyn for free, and that was like a life changing performance experience, just especially as like a aspiring artist who just loves his music, to see the way they elevate, not just do a show where they're like trying to be hype, but also as like a performing art, the way they set up the stage, the way they encapsulate different elements of performance art. So amazing show. But yeah, funny little story around that.
no, that's great. I got to see Kendrick, here in Atlanta back in 2015, and he started the set with Mad City,
Mm,
and, like, he just go, "Yeah, yeah," it went crazy, like, I was like,
yeah, dude.
"This is wild."
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the really good shows, like, you never forget, and on the contrary, like, you never forget the really bad ones. The worst one I feel bad saying it. I'm a big Mos Def fan, and I saw,
Mm,
the set was down here, at a place called the Tabernacle, kind of a historic venue.
mm,
Jay Electronica opens up for Mos Def, and Jay Electronica goes crazy, like, it's absolutely perfect. I'm like, "Yes, we're in for a really good one." Mos Def shows up more than 2 hours late, just wasted, like, gone, like, could barely make it through the set. I was like, "Damn, I guess I'll just listen." I'm not coming to see
yeah,
Most Live, anymore, so it happens, it happens.
it happens. Yeah.
Um, Lots of things to get into, man. So, like, it's really funny because, like, when we go into these, like, I kinda get my Nardwuar on, I kinda dig through, like, your socials and your Instas and things like that to get some good questions to ask you, but, I happen to be privy to some knowledge that you just came back from a trip overseas,
Yeah.
and we were in a space, for your sound drop, and we're definitely gonna get into that too. But you shared some really great information. Like, and some feelings that you were able to find on your trip. Um, I want to know how that was, has helped you. I know you specifically said it sharpened the pen for you, but I've really loved hearing that story of your travels recently. If you want to talk on that a little bit.
Absolutely, man, and I appreciate you bringing that up, and I appreciate you pulling up to the sound drop as well. But that trip was really moving for me because I think we get really, really caught up and lost in the day-to-day grind and shuffle of what we're trying to do with our dreams and our career and music and this and that. And um, it's kind of a whirlwind. So the trip was helpful on like a basic fundamental level because it was just time away. It was time to slow down. It was time to kind of reset and recharge just for my soul, right? But on a more personal and deeper level, it was really impactful for me. And India trips are always impactful for me because I get to see my family, specifically my grandmothers, and they're both just incredibly important people in our family structure, but especially, you know, for my parents, obviously, and for us. And being able to spend time with them is rare these days, especially with the long gap of like COVID and stuff like that. It's been 5 years since I pulled up to India. And pulling up there and being there in person is just different than talking on the phone, you know, because especially because of like language barriers and cultural differences and time differences, being there in person has such a profound effect on them and us. So I was mentioning during the sound drop, like one of my grandmothers is suffering from some short-term memory loss and things like that. And at first it was you know, it was kind of a shock to see her in that state because we haven't, you know, seen her in person in such a long time. But what I noticed and what made me optimistic and you know, grateful for that time there was that over the course of the 2 weeks that we were there, seeing how just our presence, like our family's presence, especially me and my brother's presence with her, spending time with her, talking with her, and you know, being around her kind of helped and sharpened her mentally and made her more present in the current moment because she was enjoying it and that heightened social interaction and the heightened, you know, sense of love and excitement. So it really goes to show like on a physical, like physiological fundamental level, how much presence really matters. Like being there for the people that you love in a physical sense really really matters. So that was really tough but moving and an important reminder, I think, for how I want to, you know, carry on my relationship with all my loved ones and family and friends and stuff like that. So super, super impactful trip for that reason and a lot more for sure.
No, I'd love to hear that, man. And it's, you know, obviously without having to get into too much detail, like, you know, that's one of the things about getting older is, you know, you know, your loved ones get older too, right? So like that's things you have to come to terms with. But I do love how you mentioned like that, how it's, you know, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but maybe freed you a little bit, at least momentarily, from a writing perspective, right? And so now you feel like you're getting to it. Like we got gems on deck. Like
We
what's
got
going on?
gems on deck. That is a fact. Yeah, man. I think to be creative in a very strong and concentrated way, you have to just manage stress very well. You know, if your mind is cluttered, we talked about this on the space, but if your mind is ultra cluttered and there's a lot going on, there's a lot of things on your schedule and there's high stress, it's very difficult to detach and be creative in like a very pure form. So that is what I really found to be like refreshing about the 2 week trip to India was a chance to detach, a chance to unplug, a chance to, you know, reconnect with loved ones that I, you know, am incredibly inspired by and connected to, but also to be in a really peaceful, calm environment and just kind of have time to sit with my own thoughts, you know, and reflect a little bit and journal a little bit, meditate a little bit, and understand how that just on a physical level, as you start taking care of your needs mentally, how that elevates you creatively. Because all of a sudden, these muscles that you weren't putting to use because you're stressed about this, and this start getting flexed again, and certain connections start forming where it's sort of a brain blast that happens. So I was lucky enough to experience some levels of that, and I'm still trying to ride the high of that as well. But I would encourage that for every artist and anybody with that, whether you're an artist or not, is like take time to detach, and you'll see that that clarity really sharpens whatever it is that your craft is.
No, no, I think that that's great advice. And you know, I know you were detaching and you were being present and obviously enjoying your trip while you were gone. Um, but now I want to talk about your filming, right? Because I know you be filming things like, you know, did you get not that I expect you to share, but did you get footage over there? Like, I mean, you had to have the camera out a little bit, right?
Yeah, man. I didn't get any like super formal footage in terms of like I didn't even bring out my camera and stuff because the I guess the purpose of that trip was being as present as possible. But sometimes it's second nature. Like I can't help it but like whip out my phone and get a certain angle or certain lighting and stuff. So more than like filming myself or anything like that, I did film a bunch of short clips of just the scene, just the environment, whether there's cool lighting or mountains or trees or that kind of sunlight coming through the like main room in a certain way and things like that. So I tried to just capture the environment that was inspiring me. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that footage. I might just stitch it together and throw it up somewhere. But like the there's that creative DNA that you can't really stop. You just gotta capture. You just gotta create. So it's doing a little bit of that.
Yeah, I would think that a lot of really good stuff comes out of that when it's a little more subconscious, right? Like, and
Yeah.
you're just kind of going with it. You're not with any natural intent, and then later on, like if you're trying to make a product out of it, like you can clean up the stuff that you want to do. I'm curious when it comes to the film side of things because there's a certain quality to what you do, and I encourage anybody to go check it out. Check out what RMS does. I know you got your own YouTube. Like, look at the links in his socials. It's RMS underscore NJ, right?
Yep. RMS underscore NJ on everything.
RMS underscore NJ. Go check him out. But the live links or the video links. Um, when it comes to recording and video and that, like, is that something like you went to school for? Is that something that you've always done? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, never any formal education on that. Just purely out of love for art and visuals. So back in high school, this is after I had been producing music for a while, but prior to when I really got into like rapping seriously. There was a pocket of time where me and some of my buddies were just really interested in film, particularly like short film format. So we got super into that. We filmed a bunch of really garbage films, but like it was fun to just express ourselves and be creative. And through that process, I've always just been hyper obsessed with visuals, even prior to that and then sometime after that I was doing a lot of photography work, so that kind of bled into that love for film and cinematography as well. And it honestly, I've done like photography for fun for many years since I was like 13, and then I did a little bit of professional work later when I was in college. But I think that experience helped a lot and translates well into film and cinematography because of the understanding of colors. You know what I mean? I really like colors mean a lot to me, the way things are color graded, the way, light interacts with them. And I think that that makes film exciting to watch for me when it just strikes you in a certain visual language. And I try to translate that into my music videos. A lot of them are, as of now, like lower budget, like it's just me filming stuff. So I work with what I got. But it's fun, man. It's always the most fun part of putting all those films together is the colors, even on the cover arts that I design and those photos that I take. Like it's really important that it looks a certain way, and it's incredible how even cell phone footage can look amazing if you color grade it right. So that's that's how all these different interests kind of intersect.
So, are you a film buff?
To an extent, I wouldn't say that I'm like the most educated, but I do love a good film for sure.
You got to hook up with Saint. Saint's like heavy into that kind of
Yes.
thing. Pat Jr. as well.
Yes.
Pat and I connected over film scores. So like we're those nerds. I don't know if you get
Mhm.
into film scores at all, but yeah, we're those nerds that like listen to film scores and shit. So
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I was telling them in the space, this might have been prior to you joining, that like I first started producing music from being inspired by film scores. So like when I started producing, I was like 12, maybe 13, like around like soon after like Hans Zimmer Inception soundtrack came out and stuff like that. And when I heard that, I was so inspired. All I wanted to do, all I wanted to make was stuff of that quality, like film scores, movie soundtrack sort of vibe. And that was kind of my jumping off point. So 100% I will definitely tap into Pat, and I'm super excited that you're a nerd about that stuff too, because that's that's so fire. And Saint's a legend. And Me and him are definitely gonna tap in. Now that he's in New York, we already said we're gonna work on some film stuff, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, and he gets crazy about the film stuff. So I got to ask, besides Inception, give me your favorite film score.
Oh man, might go down the Chris Nolan rabbit hole, but Interstellar. I think I actually told this to Pat on one of our first campfire calls. When we were introducing ourselves, he asked like, what's your favorite movie or score or whatever?" And I was like, Interstellar's score is really hard to beat. That like it's really really hard to beat.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
So,
How about you?
well, I was gonna say, so like a couple months ago, like it was when I was first able to code tweet, and like I randomly was like, "Who wants to code tweet with me?" And Pat like responded first, so like we code tweeted like, and we gave people an A and B choice, and his was Tron, which
Mm,
is of everybody knows Tron, and mine
yeah.
was actually Tenet. I chose Tenet. It's not. I feel like it's not necessarily as known as some of those other ones, but like if you go
Yeah.
through and listen to the Tenet track, the random Travis Scott record aside, like it was
Yeah.
like really good.
Yeah.
Uh, that's one of my favorites on there.
I
Um,
love that.
Before we get into the sound drop, what I want to know about is like I first came across you. I want to say it was October of 21 ish, right around there. And it was because I was helping Louis with his launch, and you got into the Hip Hop Heads Challenge, which I think you did a great job on. Like I was splitting hairs between you and Sessions.
Mm.
Um, was that your first introduction into Web3, or were you in before that?
That I feel like that was my first real introduction, so I definitely gotta give credit to Louis for, bringing me in, pulling me in. I think he DM'd me on Instagram or something. I was like, "Yo, I don't know if you know about this situation, but you're dope. Come through, participate. You might win some ETH." And at that time, I was like attempting to get educated on like the music NFT space. Like a couple months prior, I had actually made a piece thinking like this would be a great music NFT, but I didn't know where the community was. I didn't know like where or how someone would even begin to jump into that kind of thing. So definitely Louis was the guy that brought me in, that onboarded me. And it was really that challenge that was like the jumping off point. So very, very grateful for that experience. Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, though, it was a little harder to find then. So like October 21 was before like everything, like sound wasn't a thing yet. I think catalog was barely a thing. Like there was like Audius, there was Emanate, there was some things like that, but like it was pretty low key for the most part.
Mm,
Like nowhere near what it is right now. So like it was harder to find. Like you had to look for it. So that was
yeah.
really cool running into you. Like I still remember. I remember that video. Um, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Challenges are always fun with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But fast forward to where about a year and 3 months past that now,
Hmm.
and just went live with your sound drop yesterday. For those that don't know, if you visit sound.xyz in the search, if you type in the letters RMS, you'll find my guy's new record right there. You can pick it up. It's zero point zero 0.02 ETH, 13 have been collected. A max of 12 more can, and this is available until January 9th or until it mints out. Um, what was this like? Like, because I feel like right now, in its current state, like getting the call on sound is like, that's the call, like you're going up type thing. What when you talk to me about that?
Yeah, man. And first of all, appreciate you shouting that out. Appreciate you collecting. You're an OG collector, so I always appreciate you supporting for real. This the sound experience was really fire. I think, like I said, I've been in the space around since around that time, like fall of last year. Sort of as an observer, more than anything, and really dipped my toes into dropping stuff only like probably April of 22. So then since then I've been seeing I obviously as everybody has been seeing like the growth and the amazing work that the sound team has been doing. So it's always been another bucket list item like all right, I'm gonna get on there one day and then we're gonna make cool shit happen. So that was super cool to have that connection. I do gotta give credit. I don't know this for sure, but this is my assumption. um I know that as part of like Campfire, which is super dope collective of like artists and just creators just generally. Iman Europe is part of that, and she was really doing a lot of work behind the scenes to like try to push artists from Campfire onto like Sound's radar, just kind of like make them aware of like these are artists that we could potentially onboard. I have no idea if like that was the real source or whatever, but shout out to her for doing amazing work on that front. If that was the case, I appreciate you. But other than that, I just tweeted out one day. I was like, "Hey, manifesting a sound acceptance at some point." And then David from Sound hit me and was like, "Let's make it happen." So it things happen at the right time, man. So it was fun, great to get that connection, and a blessing to start the year off with that for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and that's one of the cool things is like I feel like both David and Iman are out here like looking for folks. Like I've talked to both of them, and they're always like, "Yo, who else are you talking to?" So like if they're asking me about it, then they're asking all sorts of collectors about it and other artists about it and all that. So like out here in the trenches. So I like to see you making it up there. Like I said, especially like I very vividly remember you first coming in on the hip hop heads challenge and like to go from that to this, that's really cool. That's really cool. So what's the experience been like for you when you describe it to people that are less familiar with Web3? So like when you get back into more of the Web 2 world, if you will, right? And like people are like, yeah, I'm looking for your DSPs and or looking for you on DSPs and whatnot. So like, um, what's that like?
Yeah, it's an interesting experience because different people have different levels of you know pre-existing knowledge, but also different levels of open-mindedness about what Web3 could be or what it could look like. I feel like Web3 space as a whole, outside of just music, gets a mixed bag of rep outside of the people who are actually in the community. So different people have different pre-existing notions about what it's like. But the thing I always say is, if you're a creator, it's another tool in your toolkit to just connect with people. It's a whole separate community of people, and hopefully there's some overlap and some merge there that will continue to get perpetuated over time. But it's really a great community for people who really care about music and art. It's a great way for independent artists to get and see like support that doesn't really exist only from the streaming platforms, in the sense that you get for streams. And it doesn't make sense to not do your due diligence and like at least educate yourself on what that space is. So if you're an independent artist seeing this and you're not tapped in, please tap in. It's a very welcoming community of people, and that's what I love about it the most. It's very like people focused right now, and it's a great way for independent artists to expand. So that's the pitch I give. Whether it sticks or not, it's hard to say, but we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing is that there are a lot of people that dismiss it before they even hear it because they hear of, I think it's now infamous at this point. Tyler the Creator talking about like, oh, a monkey picture. Why the fuck do I want a monkey picture? And you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
there
yeah,
like that is undeniable. There is that whole group, but I think aside from like the novelty of PFP trading and things like that, there's people out here like yourself, like other artists, like other musicians, like other developers and things like that, actually doing real work. So that definitely
yeah.
matters. I got to touch on the collector side. Um, Before we get into like the good stuff that you collect, I need to know: have you bought into a rug before? And for those that don't know, a rug is a project that like gets started, uh, and basically takes people's money and dips. Like it just like they pull the rug. So have you been in a rug before?
Luckily, knock on wood, have not been in a rug yet. But also being said, I feel like most of the NFTs I've collected have been like pretty straightforward music NFTs. I haven't dived into the wider Web3 NFT collection very deeply. I like surface level for sure, but haven't really dived into that very deeply because, yeah, personally, I'm kind of like, if there's a project that's really dope and like someone I know, like if you were to be like, you were to put me onto something, I'm like, okay, there's some level of baseline trust there. And then I got to do some due diligence, research the project, understand the roadmap, and then decide, all right, I'm going to, buy into this because it's like a cool experience. I just haven't haven't taken the time to really do that too often. So a
So
lot
you
of times if
do have
I'm
any like fluffy animal, like fuzzy pheasant that you bought or anything like that?
Yeah, unfortunately not yet, but hey, 23, maybe it'll happen. A lot of the NFTs I've collected are just straight up music NFTs, because that's what I'm most passionate about. When I hear a good song and it's from an artist that's really dope, whether I know them or not know them, um, that's fire. So that's what I'd be supporting the most these days for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, guilty as charged here too. I got a big ass music collection at this point, and getting rid
Yeah,
of
for sure.
most of my trash PFPs. But you know, some did well, some didn't do so well. Like if I can remember the name right, the worst one I bought into, and it wasn't a rug; it just didn't do well. But what they did is they released all the rarity in advance, and then when the mint went live, if you were fast enough to get to it, and they did the mint via OpenSea, if you were fast enough to get to it, like you could buy the rare ones off the rip. Well, the problem was it's the first 2,000 sold, and then nobody bought anything else.
Yeah, that's not the vibe.
But that one was called, man, you're gonna laugh when I say this. If I remember right, Pirate Treasure Booty Club.
Good. You buying into the right places, bro.
You can tell that was a legit one, right? Like, I'm not a
Yeah,
geek.
100%. But you got the doodle, right? Do you still have the doodle?
Nah, bro. I threw all like I had bought 3 doodles, and I'm one of those people like as it runs up, like I'm gonna take the money. You know.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I buy my typical philosophy when it comes to those kinds of things is I buy 3, and if I can get the first one out that recoups all costs, the other 2 are all upside, and then I'm just looking for some crazy multiple. You know, it's
Mm,
free at that point.
got it.
Um, but I got lucky. I dumped all my stuff in April, and my last doodle, the one that everyone says looks like me, as much as a doodle can look like a person, right? I dumped him because I just didn't have a good feeling about like where the market was headed, and like at the time, like I got like 15 E for it. And I was like, bro, like this pays off a lot of bills for me. So see ya type
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah. Probably a good move, dude. That was April, you said, right?
yeah, I got out before it all went. You know, so
Yeah. That is a good move. That is a good move.
better lucky than good sometimes, right?
That's it. That's it.
One of the other things I wanted to touch on, and I feel like this is big thing for you. And if anybody goes to RMS Instagram, right up. What's
Video for a second. Could you repeat that?
yeah, hold on. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you get it.
Cool. So you have a cover shot with Rolling Stone India,
Yes. Mm.
and that's crazy. Like, so I want to know, like, how did that come to be, and like, what was that like showing your family and friends?
It was cool, man. It was a good moment. I that was, shout out to my man Justin Ashar who made that connection happen. He was really helpful for me in terms of marketing that particular music video. So that was when the I'm Here With You music video first came out. And he sort of connected dots for me, made that happen. And it's a big blessing. So shout out to him for sure. But yeah, that was a cool moment. I think that like generally my general, outlook on most things like that, whether it's like publication placements, press and stuff like that, is more than anything, I guess it's some sort of like artist like some surface level validation, but at the same time, um, it's cool to see it, especially if you've been dreaming about things like that since years. So definitely a cool moment. My parents' reaction was crazy. A lot of friends and family hit me up too. So definitely grateful for that.
Yeah, that's cool. Now we need to get the US version going, right?
Up next.
Um, well, man, look, I won't hold you too long. I'm excited, about everything that you've got cooking. Like I said, for anybody out there, there are some more editions available. But I'm going to give the floor to you. Anything that you want to say, where to find you, dates you got coming up, stuff that we should be looking out for.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you heavy. I think First off, on any social platforms, if you want to come through and tap in, it's RMS underscore NJ, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that. And then, yeah, I got a show coming up this Saturday at Pianos LES in Manhattan. So please tap in. We're doing it with Breaking Sound. So that's going to be super exciting. Hopefully we get some, footage from that. But yeah, a lot of new music in the works. And I was telling you this privately earlier on like a space some time ago, but I've really been like heads down trying to finish my album. And that is, man, been in the works for a couple of years. Like a lot of different things have happened in between, which makes that process slow. But this month and into next month, I'm really trying to put my head down and complete it, because right now pretty much everything is recorded. It's just a matter of like putting everything together. But it's a decent size LP, like a concept album, space themed concept album that touches on reincarnation and a lot of different philosophies that come from my culture of Hinduism, but also just experiences and stories from things that I've learned just through some life shit. So it's really, really beautiful. I'm obsessed with narrative concept albums like that. So I've been working on it for a while. I really have like a visual idea for it as well in terms of how to present that in music video, short film format. I bought like a space helmet and stuff. So it's gonna be sick. I'm working on that. I don't know when that will get released yet, but I will keep you and everybody updated on that for sure. And a lot of other songs in the works. And of course in Web3, this is just the beginning. So Genesis Sound Drop out now in case you want to come through and collect. Definitely would be appreciative of that and appreciative of everybody who's already collected. And more stuff to come, more stuff on sound, more stuff everywhere else. We're going to keep that rolling, keep it connected, and try to, build out a solid community. But man, I appreciate you having me. You've always put on for me. Since the beginning, you've been somebody who's been looking out for a lot of artists, not just me, but when you do look out for me, I'm very, very grateful. So for talking to me today and for supporting, I appreciate you, bro.
Man, no, y'all make it easy, and so I appreciate the good work y'all put in. I got to try to squeeze one little juicy piece of alpha out of you. We got any collabs coming up that you got in the background there?
Man, a lot of collabs like in the works. I still have to figure out like where I'm gonna place them, when I'm gonna release them, what the process of that is gonna look like. But me and Louis got a crazy track. It's very fire. He killed it on the feature. Sent it back so fast too. So I've been sitting on that for a minute. I gotta find the right time and place to put that out. And then I sent a beat to Jaden Violet some time ago. If he hops on that, that would be sick. And I got a couple more other things that are less confirmed, but potentially could be cool if they pan out. So I'll leave it at that. But we're trying to work. We're trying to collab more 2023, because I think it's no fun all alone all the time. So gotta collab, gotta make some cool shit with cool people for sure.
Well, I'm on the lookout for it. I like to tell everybody I live here, so uh, all for it, bro. All for it. Well, thank you so much for your time, dude. I appreciate it. Come through anytime if we can help support. Also, follow my guy RMS on Huddle In. If you have not downloaded Huddle In, HUDDLN in all your app stores, RMS got some content on there. I'm gonna bug him to give me some more behind the scenes, some of the recording stuff if we can, all that good stuff. I like to see the in the process, how to make stuff. Like that's some of the most fun stuff to see. But um,
Mhm.
thank you again. If you guys have not followed him at RMS underscore NJ, I'm Jared T. We're on Huddle In, and we'll be running these back. And my man, I'll get this edited. We lightly edit these, and then you'll be able to use it for whatever you want. And then have friends or fans and anything tap in on DSPs. We'll have this up within a day or so. So,
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. Great combos, and we'll tap in soon.
all right, thanks everyone. Peace.